The 22.11 release of SAP Enable Now gave us a brand new bit of functionality called the web recorder. In this video, I'm going to look at what that is, what you would use it for, and what limitations there are. So, the web recorder is a new bit of functionality designed to allow you to capture recordings for simulations from a browser-based application. Any application that runs through the browser, you can use it for. Now, you could also use Producer or Instant Producer to capture those, but what's unique about Web Recorder is it runs completely through the browser. You don't need to open Producer or Instant Producer first. You don't need to have the SAP Enable Now Launcher installed on your PC. It runs completely through the browser. Now, to do that, it does need a plugin. That plugin is the Web Recorder plugin. That's what I have installed here. You can find that on the Chrome Store, the Edge Store, wherever else. It's called Web Recorder. It's published by SAP, so you can trust it. Make sure that is installed in your browser, and also make sure it's pinned to the address bar, like you can see here. I have it pinned here. If you go to Extensions, make sure that it is pinned, because this is what we're going to click on to start our recording and end our recording, so we need to be able to see it. Now, the next thing, when you start recording, you're going to want to make sure that your browser application that you're recording is in the same browser window. So another tab within your same browser window that you are going to run the web recorder from, which is actually going to be running from Manager. Let me close down the Chrome Store here to keep that out of the way. So here I've got my manager that I'm going to start recording from, and I've got the application here. You can have any number of applications you want. It's only going to capture that one application. So here I'm going to be recording against my S4 system, so I have that open. Now I'll go back to Manager, and this is where you start your recording from. So you've got to get into Manager, which means that you've got to have some level of familiarity with how Manager is structured and where to find things. And that is important because you have to select the group that you want to create your recording in. Whereas Instant Producer, it would just throw it into unsorted. Using the web recorder, it does want to put it in a specific group, and you need to tell it where that group is. Now, an important thing here is, if you notice, I don't have an option here for recording. I can see Open Producer and Open Instant Producer on my work area menu, but there's no recorder. And down here, for my group that I want to put this into, I don't see that recording option either. Don't panic if you don't see it there initially. You will only see that when it's able to create a recording. And at the moment I can't, because I don't have this group checked out to me. So it can't make any changes to that and put a simulation in it. So this particular group here that I'm going to drop my recording into, I need to start editing on it. And as soon as I start editing, now you see that I have this record option here. This is actually the similar functionality what you had in Manager before, where if you wanted to create a new anything else, you have to start editing first. It's the same with recording. But if you don't realize that and you're wondering why you don't see that record option, that's why. Go and start editing on the group first, and then you'll see it. Now, the record menu here just has one option on it, which is new simulation. That kind of implies there may be other ones coming later for recording other things perhaps, but for now, new simulation is the only option we have. So I'll select that. And here it says, okay, what do you want to record? This is similar to what you see with the standard recorder of what application do you want to record against. But here it's only showing me the applications that are currently within the same browser window. So again, I've got my manager running and I've got my S4 home screen. So they are the only things that are listed here. So I select the application I want to record, click next. Again, it brings that to the front and it starts to throw up some help for me. So here it's saying, are you ready to record? Make sure that you've got these things set up, and here's how to do that recording. So far so good. I'm in the application, I'm at the screen I want to start recording from, and now you see my web recorder actually has a little record symbol on it, exactly the same as we see here in the help. I'll click on that. Then the recording options dialog box is thrown up. This is the same as what we had before, where we can select the size that we want to record against. I'm leaving mine at custom because I actually created this at 1280 by 800. I'm going to leave it as it is. Generally, you would not want to capture all this stuff at the top, but I'll leave it there for now so we can see what we're doing when we jump between the tabs later. I can choose the language that I want my recording to be in. And I can choose whether I want to show the recording tips during recording or when I start recording or not. You can deselect that. For now, I'll leave it on so that you can see what those are. So I'll just go straight into start recording. More recording tips thrown up here, telling me how to do various things. Pause recording, finish recording. It's useful to pay attention to these because I'm not going to have that recording bar across the top. I'm not going to see any of that. The only thing I'm going to have available to me is this button here. So that's the thing that I need to watch out for. So let's say we're ready to go now. I'm going to start recording. And you can see as I start to move around the screen, it highlights the objects that I can click on. Now that's very, very similar to what we see when we're recording a guided tour or a help tile for Web Assistant, but it's not really the same here. And I'll show you why that's not the case in a minute. But basically, as before, I need to go and select the objects that I want to click on, that I want to have in my recording, and choose those. So I'm going to perform those steps in the application. As I do that, watch here, and this is why I left this visible in my recording, is that you see up here on my web recorder icon, I now have a number 0. As I perform steps, it's going to keep account of how many steps I've performed. Just FYI, so that you can see that it is actually doing something and making progress. If it stays on 0, then it's obviously not capturing anything and you've done something wrong. But here I'll go through and I'll just perform a few steps in here. Click on that. I've now got a 1 in the top. Click on this. It's now gone to 2. Just going to run through. As with a lot of browser-based applications, S4, a lot of the objects are nested inside other objects and divs, etc., and selecting the right object is kind of important. Here I can click on this Manage Sales Orders, or I can come out a bit and it will select that. I can come down to here and it will click on something else. It's not quite as critical for these types of recordings at this stage. So here I'll just click on Manage Sales Orders. That's good enough. And I'll go through and I'll just perform a couple of quick steps in here. I want to create a sales order. It puts me onto this screen. I'll just do a couple of other steps. Type OR as my order type. Confirm that. Next. And that's probably as far as I'll go in here. I've just got 6 steps in here. Maybe another couple just so we get something in our recording. Click on things. Okay, I'm now up to 9 steps and I will stop at that point. So you can see the recording is very easy. It shows you exactly where you're clicking and it captures all of that for me. Now, as soon as I stop recording, it's going to throw up a dialog box that says, hey, are you just pausing here? Are you actually finished? Do you want to cancel this recording, start again? Do you want to see initial help? Here I say I'm finished. We're good to go. Now what that does is it throws up a preview for me showing me what it's captured. So it shows me all of the steps I've got and all of the screens that I went through and whereabouts I clicked on that screen. And it does highlight those in that teal color. And I can go through here and make sure that this is exactly what I wanted to record and it has captured things correctly. And then I have the choice of continuing with this, throwing it away, or throwing it away and starting another recording. Okay, so I'm going to go to next. I'm saying I'm happy with this. Here I enter a name for it because I've not had an option to put a name anywhere. So here I will say I can enter my name. I can enter a short description. We'll see where that goes. Click Save. That will save that back to Manager. And then I have a choice of just going back to Manager, or I can go into Edit This. If you've not used the web editor before, this is starting to take the place of the producer editor. It's not quite got all of the same functionality yet, but it's getting there. But if I go into the web editor here, because I need to show you a couple of other things about our recording, this should be familiar to you if you've done any editing of recordings so far. If your view looks different to mine, that's because I have the view selected here as vertical layout because I like to use that one. But it's got a lot of the same functionality, not quite as robust as the producer editor, but I'm just coming into here to show you a couple of things instead of having to go into producer to show them to you. So first thing I'll point out is that it has recorded everything the same as before. I've got screenshots, I've got action macros in here, but key difference here, all it's captured as far as the instructions go is click here. That's all I've got in my demo text. That's all I've got in my practice text. Just click here. It knows kind of what object I clicked on, but it's not used a recording dictionary at all. There's no recording dictionary involved in this. All it's given me is click here. So this means I am going to have to go through and edit every single piece of bubble text to make these effective training. But what's more critical is if I scroll down a little, you'll see that it hasn't even captured the object name for me or the object image. So I don't have those things. So all the time that I was moving the cursor around the screen, it was highlighting different objects. All it was doing was identifying that there was an object there. It wasn't actually getting the object name or the object image out of that like you get with a standard recording using the full functionality. So that's a significant limitation of this. You're going to have to edit everything yourself. What's more, if I go and look at the screen for this and go down to the re-record section where you'd find the page key, I've got nothing in here at all. Okay, I've got no information on the page key, so it knows nothing about the application really. So I cannot use this for re-recording later if I wanted to. It's a very, very simple recording. Now, that's all I wanted to point out in here. I'm going to close this down and go back to Manager and show you a couple of last things. So here's the group that I created this in. This has been checked out to me. I need to finish editing on this group. That's an important thing to remember. You're always going to have to start editing on that group before you can create the simulation. Don't forget to finish editing. Very easy to forget that. Make sure you don't. So I'll finish editing on that. Now, when it did that, it refreshed the screen and it pulled in my new recording. I could have just clicked the refresh button here and it would have pulled that in. I won't see that until it has refreshed the browser screen. Finish editing will force it to do that. So that's kind of a good way to make sure that you always remember to finish editing. Instead of clicking that button there, just do finish editing just so you can see your recording pop up. So I have my recording here. Again, this has been checked out to me. I need to finish editing on that. Before I do that, a couple of things I'll point out. Here's the name that we entered earlier. Here's the description. And if I scroll down here, I will see a couple of useful things. Firstly, under context, it is capturing the app names that I recorded during my recording session. So it has captured Shell Home, which was the screen I started from, and then the two sales order screens that I went through. This is good because this means that I can use this recording for in-application help via SAP Companion, and it will offer that up when it's on those screens. So it's good that it does capture that screen level context, just not the object in it. And then obviously I also have down here under SAP Companion context, it has captured the product name, which is my S4HANA Cloud, and the product version, which is the 2202 edition. So again, application level or screen level context it has captured, but the object level information, the information of the elements on the screen, it does not have any of that. I do fully expect that to be extended later, and in the next release, I expect to see object level recognition at least for S4, but that's going to be 6 months away from now. For now, I see this functionality as a great way of capturing recordings where you can't open Producer or you can't open Instant Producer. Maybe you're working on an iOS device. It will absolutely work on an iOS device. However, it won't work with the Safari browser. You need to install Chrome and the Chrome plugin on your iOS device, and then you will be able to capture the recordings. The other place it may help is if you are connecting via VDI. So you've got your producer running on your own machine. You connect through to your S4 system via VDI. You've now not got producer running on the same machine as the application, which it absolutely needs to be to capture recordings. If you've at least got that browser plugin on the browser that you're launching the application on through your VDI session, you will be able to capture a recording. But again, it's not going to have that object level information. So far so good. A nice bit of functionality, but some significant limitations with that object level recognition, which hopefully will come along later. That's it. Thanks for watching.